Required to work 40 hours a week? Years ago I worked for a company that tried to skate by with as little labor overhead as possible. They'd hire underqualified people and then expect top results. Management was a husband and wife who ran the company like it was a Fortune 500 company. We maybe had 3,040 employees. They'd implement all sorts of policies. Most of them were arbitrary and very micromanaging. One of the policies they created was a mandatory 40 hours policy. If you missed any work Monday, Friday, you'd have to come in on Saturday to make it up. No excuses accepted. If you didn't come in on Saturday to make up the time, you'd get a strike. 3 strikes and you're gone. One day I needed to take off from work half an hour early and I cleared it with my on-site boss. On Friday one of the owners calls me and says she double-checking to make sure I'll be there on Saturday. I explain it was only a half an hour I missed and she said there were no excuses accepted. I needed to work my 40 hours, otherwise I'd get a strike. Cue my malicious compliance. I told her okay and I'd be there on Saturday. I get to the site on time for 7 a.m. roll call. The on-site boss takes roll and starts telling people what projects they are going to work on. There's about 15 people on site and I deliberately stand in the back waiting. By the time the boss makes it to me, it's about 7:25 a.m. He starts detailing my job and I cut him off and explain that I'll be leaving in 5 minutes. He looks at me and asks why. I explained to him that I was told I needed to work my 40 hours and that since I missed half an hour of work I only needed to make up half an hour and would be leaving at 7:30 a.m. He asks why can't I stay all day and get the overtime. I reply that I'm only required to work 40 hours and that I have plans. I left promptly at 7:30 a.m. and had a great weekend. Come Monday I got a "we're disappointed that you chose not to stay to help your coworkers" speech from the bosses, and that was about it. That policy went away a few weeks later. Be the reason a stupid policy was abolished. Check. Nice one op. Too bad you didn't have any state requirements to be paid a minimum of 2 hours work for coming in. Once had to attend a 40-minute, mandatory, meeting. Boss got nailed by corporate because I made sure everyone knew that could claim 2 hours on their timesheets and a ton of people ended up with it as OT. Never had another mandatory meeting. Very nicely played. You made up you half hour. We are disappointed you didn't stay to help. Oh man. I am disappointed they don't expect you to have a life outside of work. What is it with these middle management robots who see working as the only thing that people exist for? This is one of those places that think work should be your main focus. And everything else comes second. Also, why couldn't you have made up the 30 minutes during the week? I'll never work for a family-owned small company again. I'm glad it's your company and you are trying to milk it for money. I got nothing for going above and beyond except being forced to run it while you scampered across Asia. Tell them that you were disappointed that they weren't able to help you. Why wouldn't they simply take that half hour out of your paid time off? Easiest for everybody? Or ask you to stay half an hour later any other day? Way more productive than having somebody come in for half an hour on a Saturday. I don't get certain bosses. Why do these people expect people to choose to do more for their company? Having no stakes in the company? If you had done 40 by Friday, you wouldn't have been there at all to help out on Saturday. Silly rule. Not all heroes wear capes. We're disappointed that you chose not to stay to help your coworkers. I'm disappointed that I had to come in on a Saturday for a half an hour because I'm required to get my full 40 hours. Yet here we are. We are in an era of peace and prosperity. Technology evolving faster than ever, and yet we still have to work just as hard to struggle. Paycheck to paycheck. No matter how far we advance as a species, I don't think life will ever get easier. They won't let us. I'm not trying to just survive in life. I want to live it. Otherwise, what is the point? Are you allowed to work 4/10s and have a 3-day weekend? I would. I'm also petty and get up early on Saturdays anyways. So I would do what Op did for weeks just to piss off the owners. They would be disappointed in me for a while until they got rid of their dumb rule. Sounds like another example of people who expect the employees to work as if the employees were part owners in the business. Why couldn't you just stay 1/2 hour late one day to make up the time so you didn't have to bother coming in on a Saturday? We're disappointed that you chose not to stay to help your coworkers. I'm disappointed you deliberately chose to understaff Saturday because you assumed that I would be staying the entire day, just because I was forced at gunpoint to come in for at least half an hour. This is great.
Wow.
It's frustrating when companies prioritize arbitrary policies over the well-being and personal lives of their employees. Kudos to Op for standing up and showing them the flaws in their mandatory 40 hours rule.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.